When we look at I absolutely agree that AI is going to allow us to put the service back into financial services. And the reason for that is when we look at the average day breakdown of a financial services professional, most of our time is spent in front of a computer. There's not a lot of us who spend most of our time building relationships with other people. And so now that we have more technologies, including AI, augmenting our workflows to really start automating a lot of the busy work, we're just going to have way more of our time freed up to interact with other humans, hopefully allowing us the time, space to strategically think through more important decisions and to interact with other humans so that we can align incentives to make those important decisions. Hello, everyone. My name is Shuo Chen. I am a former entrepreneur who is now investing in entrepreneurs and teaching entrepreneurship. Very briefly about my background, I started a company that built curriculum as well as software for some of the largest banks in the world, with our paying clients including Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. And after our startup exited, I joined Goldman Sachs out of that role, where I covered technology and investment banking and worked with some of the largest tech players in the world, with transactions as big as helping Google acquire Motorola, a $12.5 billion deal that was very much a transition between different eras of tech giants, all the way to small deals that someone like Google was exploring on making strategic investments and acquisitions of startups. And from those years, I realized that I really missed working with the really, really small startups. So 9 years ago, my business partner and I started the venture fund that we've been running since then. And we've made over 70 investments into very early stage startups headquartered out in Silicon Valley that really focus on leveraging exponential technologies to change the future of work and future of finance. And so hopefully I can leverage some of these experiences to share with you all practical examples that I've seen and worked with firsthand on how startups and corporates alike can really make an impact on how they build for future of finance. When I think about future of finance, I actually believe in the somewhat controversial statement coming out of Silicon Valley now, which states that every single company is going to be in financial services. And here's why. The reason why every single company is going to be in financial services is if we just look at patterns in the past 3 decades in financial services, we'll see that we've actually had the cyclical effect between bundling, unbundling, and rebundling. So, this first wave of bundling is how we ended up with all the major financial services providers that we're all familiar with. So, we see a lot of financial services consolidating in these major banks and major players. The last decade, we saw actually a lot of this unbundling where you take the homepage of any major financial institution and you see there's at least 5 startups trying to build the exact same specific service faster, better, cheaper. And you had a lot of those companies in this last wave of unbundling go public, whether they were specific for lending for consumer or specific lending for a business or enterprise. And this latest wave that we see now is actually in rebundling, where you see financial services being provided in very unexpected places, in a way that I call embedded finance. When we look at this wave of embedded finance, you actually see companies that are traditionally not in any type of financial services offering some type of financial services on top of their existing products and services in order to expand their margins, get additional revenue, and provide additional value-added services to their existing customers. Again, whether they're individuals or customers representing large enterprises. And as a result of that, I actually see that going to the future, every company will want to be in financial services at the very least as a way of expanding their margins and offering additional services on top of whatever it is that they currently provide. Just as a very practical example of that, even Starbucks, you see, getting into the financial services world where you have a vast majority percentage of their customers placing their orders on the Starbucks app in advance. And the app very much functions in many ways when you look at their points and the way that you look at how they do cash payments, etc. They function very similarly to what you would imagine a financial services provider doing. Most of my time is spent on working with startups headquartered out in Silicon Valley. And so, of course, my perspective is a little bit biased by that. But I actually think one of the biggest ways in which large enterprises and companies can really implement change is by exploring how to effectively partner with startups. Oftentimes, when we're working with a startup, the question whether the startup is going to win or the incumbent is going to win is always based on Is the startup going to get to distribution first, or is the incumbent going to get to innovation first? And really, the best of both worlds is when you bring both that distribution and innovation piece together. And we actually see that play out in a company like OpenAI, which has only been around since 2016. But Microsoft's strategic investment in them and partnership with them has enabled OpenAI to then get ChatGPT into the hands of millions of users, especially the early days. And I think that kind of partnership is a really good model for us to look at for how to implement innovation that then gets broad and massive distribution among users. So, if there's any one major takeaway from our session together, hopefully it is that you'll walk away with practical ideas after having looked at various case studies beyond the OpenAI Microsoft example for how large enterprises can start to strike effective partnerships with budding startups to bring the best of both worlds of innovation and distribution together. Welcome to the OpenExO Exponential Executive Program. I am so excited that you'll all be joining us for transformational program. Hopefully you'll be walking away with new ideas, new inspirations, and practical action steps to implement all of these ideas once you walk away. I'm really excited to also learn from all of you and exchange ideas around what we're seeing here out of Silicon Valley, and discussing how you can implement some of this in your day-to-day work.